Welcome back. Sorry that we're late. This is the CRA regular meeting. It is Tuesday, July 24th, and it is 6:15. Call the roll, please.
Chairman James.
Here.
Vice Chairman Harris. Here. Board Member Brandemart.
Here.
Board Member Grace.
Here.
Board Member Salvino.
Here.
CRA Director Williams.
Here.
CRA Attorney Ansbro.
Here.
Thank you.
All right. We don't have any citizens' comments, so we'll go straight to the administrative reports that I'm excited about.
All right, so I intentionally wanted to have a lighter meeting today because of what we experienced yesterday, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But before we go there, I'd like to formally introduce our new Economic Development Manager who started yesterday. His name is DeAndre Spradley, and I just want to call him forward. He can just introduce himself to you formally and to the public.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Good evening.
Can you speak into the mic, sir?
Sure.
Oh, there you go.
All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Again, my name is DeAndre Spradley, and I met majority of you with the exception of you, Commissioner. But under the direction of Raquel, Ms. Williams, I am looking forward to increasing the local tax base, providing local jobs, doing all I can to assist the CRA, as well as build a city. I understand that we're undergoing a recent branding image, and my role is to, as the Economic Development Manager, is to ensure that not only are your vision and goals are met, as well as my director, but also the members of the public. And I'm excited to be on board. I have about 14 years experience in both the public and the private sector. I have done everything from site plan development for large retail developments such as Walmart, Publix, and I also have an urban planning background, and I'm trying to bring all I can to the team, and I am excited to be on board.
Well, welcome, and thank you for relocating your family to assist Dania Beach. We hope you move closer and from West Palm Beach, and I was very impressed that you made it to Dania after dark. You hadn't been here a single day to work, and so that just shows a lot of dedication. And welcome to the team. We're some kind of crazy, but we're all good kind of crazy.
Thank you.
Commissioner Grace.
Just have one small thing to ask you. Are you able to look at and research and write grants?
I have worked on quite a few grants, and we will be looking at that as well.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Well, welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so just following along with the administrative report memo, last night we had our community charrette, and thank you to all the members of the community that came out, as well as to you board members who came out and participated. I just want to say the level of passion and interest in attending the event and being at the event and participating was tremendous. We were actually anticipating 100 people, and people just kept calling and emailing wanting to know if they could attend. And so we believe we had about 120 people stay for not the duration, but for many of the mini workshops within the charrette. And everything that took place last night, in addition to the developer focus group that we had 2 weeks ago, it will be compiled and organized in a fashion, and we will be reporting back to you with the assistance of FIU's Metropolitan Center on our next steps towards city center redevelopment, inclusive of a new city hall. So that is where we're headed. FIU will be coming back to us in August with an overall summary of the results of the charrette and developer focus group. We will also be having a CRA/city administrative meeting to talk about what those next steps could look like in the time frame, as well as any funding opportunities that there are. And we would like to have a CRA board workshop and maybe any additional community meetings that you may feel is necessary prior to the issuance of an RFP. So we're really trying to get a track toward getting a new city hall, so we need to get an RFP out. which includes a lot of what the community was looking for, as well as what the development community would be open to. So thank you for your participation as the City Commission. I think it was great that you were there as the Commission and the CRA Board. It really meant a lot for the community to see that you were participating and really taking it very seriously. So thank you for that. Okay, going on to the rebranding initiative, I want to give you some updates here. You may have noticed that our fleet vehicles have the new logo being applied. We're starting with the new vehicles. They're easiest to work on because we don't have to scrape off the old logo. As we continue to get new vehicles, we're going to be adding to that. I want to commend Brad Kane and Thomas Goodman, who's the fleet manager. Thomas and I have had several back and forth meetings just to make sure we get everything right. And it's been a good experience working with public services on that. The construction fence amendment, to ensure that we can allow for the city logo on construction fencing. We've been working with the Community Development Department on that, and that will come before you at the August 28th City Commission meeting for approval. The airport entranceway sign, also with Community Development. The project specifications have been completed, and we'll be going out to bid on that in August. I want to direct you to the rendering that's attached to your memo. Please note that what you see will be on 3 sides, so it will create like a triangle so that you can see it from either direction. We have a day view and we have a night view. This was worked on by Anthony Abate, who was the original architect on the project, and then we had consultation with SEMA from Redline Media Group, who implemented our new logo. So we have his buy-in, and we think that we have a great sign. Yes.
Raquel, I have a question on that, on the airport sign. Is that, I thought we were getting $250,000 from the Broward County for that sign.
Okay, so the airport signage will not be coming out of the rebranding account that we established. That will be from the funds that you're referring to.
Okay.
But any additional roadway signage, and we do have several intersections where we have entranceway signs, we're looking at using the rebranding funding for those.
Are they going up around the same time now that or is it just this one here?
This one will go first. This one is the priority,
Okay.
and then the others will follow.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question. Before we decided to take money from the rebranding, where was the other money going to come from? For the other entranceway signs, before we rebranded, where was the how was it being funded?
I'm not sure how that was going to be funded originally or what the intent was there. I do know that.
Yep, you can answer if you have the answer.
Yeah, there was money put aside for that.
I'm pretty sure we put it a couple of years ago.
Oh,
Hi, Mark LaFerriere, Community Development. Actually, the way we were approaching the project was that we had the funding for the main sign, and that what we were going to do is go out to bid as a bid alternate for the other signs. And then when we brought that bid alternate to the commission for approval, we would ask to budget the money then.
Oh, okay.
So the only money that was set aside was the money that we set aside in advance for the reimbursement from the county.
who was going to ask the budgeted, community development or general funds?
Well, I don't think we had determined where the funds would come from, but that would be
That's
worked
what
out
I'm
with
saying.
the
I don't-
manager's office and in the budget office.
Yeah, so I just say that to say I don't want to just, I'm not sure what all we need to do with rebranding, but if it was going to be a different source for that, I wouldn't just jump into using that.
This predates,
whatever we don't
this
use goes back.
predates the rebranding. This discussion predates the
Right, that's
rebranding.
what
So
I
it
was
was
saying.
never anticipated to come
Okay.
for any
So
specific fund.
I will have a discussion with the city manager and the finance director about
Okay.
the funding that
Thank you.
was specified for the other signs.
Vice Mayor?
Best guess scenario for having that out there?
Don't give me those days.
The new sign,
Yes,
uh,
by the end of the year?
end of the
Possible.
year is the best for the roadway sign.
Yes.
In my discussions with community development, that we're looking at late November, early December.
Completion?
Yes.
Okay. So we can have a party out there on New Year's Eve?
No.
If you want
I
to.
will not be in the street. Those people drive
I don't know if
crazy.
I'll be there,
I
but
will not be in the street unless you get the streets blocked off.
we've been talking about this since
before we were here.
since before we were here, probably since before you were born, Raquel. So, it's
Okay.
a work in progress, so I welcome the installation. Thank you.
Okay, I do want to let you know that we have been working with an additional apparel vendor. I know Commissioner Brandon Marty, we have some unfinished business with your new sweaters and logos. We do have an additional vendor on board that can provide us with city apparel and with a smaller D. I know a lot of the ladies have been asking for a smaller logo, so we do have someone on board for that. RFPs are to be issued in August for the signage replacement and production, the water tank, and the PR services. The advertising services will come a little later once the signage is fully implemented. We had some slight delays with getting the RFPs out because the vendor that I have doing the inventory has had some hang-ups, and we're sorting through that at this time. So that's why these RFPs have not gone out as yet. Going on to the at-home Dania Beach program that you approved at our last meeting, we will be kicking off all of the sub-programs of the at-home Dania Beach program in October, once budget has been approved for fiscal year 18-19, but we will begin advertising in September. Many residents have already begun calling and emailing and wanting to know how they can get their house painted or landscaped, or how they can become eligible for one of the homes that we're building for affordable housing. I have a tentative housing development schedule here. I'll be presenting a development plan to each of you individually next month. So I'll be showing you some site plans and renderings and talking to you about how we want the housing to look and how we want it to lift the neighborhood. And then August 28th at our next meeting, I'm going to be requesting authorization to do a notice of an unsolicited development proposal, which requires 30 days by law. After that, in October, I would like to request approval of the unsolicited development proposal. And then in November, unless we call a special meeting in October, we can approve a development agreement and get construction underway. My plan is to have all the projects, all the homes approved through community development before we engage with anyone to do the construction, because I'd like to ensure that it looks the way that we want it to look. Residential beautification, we're going to be doing a request for written quotes for paint and landscaping contractors, and that will be issued in August. We want to have a pool of 3 paint and 3 landscaping contractors to facilitate the program. Going on to our roadway, sidewalk, and landscaping plans for West Dania Beach Boulevard. We talked about the approach to the FEC Railway. We did a request for written quotes. We are going to be receiving proposals on Friday, July 27th. We sent the request to 3 of the engineering firms that are under continuing services contracts with both the city and the CRA, and I have them listed here for you. Many of them have done work in the city already, and this is to do an overall plan for hopefully future implementation.
All right, Commissioner Grace.
While we're talking about this, on last week, we were at a ribbon cutting ceremony, and we got the bad news that a pedestrian got hit by the train and his foot was amputated. This is really something that we talked about, and we kind of brushed it off very lightly, but it shouldn't be taken for granted, because it's too important for us to have a safe walkway. I don't know how that person is doing, but actually somebody videoed it, and it didn't sit well with me. I think that we should do everything possible that we can to make, especially coming across, this was Dixie and
It was Sheridan.
Okay, and then you know, that's not too far from where we are right here, so I don't know what we can do as a collective body to try and make it very safe pedestrian-wise for, Dania residents. That was
Commissioner Brandon.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding is, even if we did everything we could possibly to make it safe, this person was on his cell phone, walking on the rail on his cell phone and couldn't see the train coming. So even if we had done everything we possibly can, we can't take his cell phone away from him. This is my understanding.
Well,
And he didn't realize that yellow train, what do you call that train?
Right.
That
Right
train
line.
can go so fast. But who in their right minds do stuff like that?
As you're talking about that, fellow commissioner, I'm also talking about my children who run across that train track that's coming to the library that are not very attentive. You know, sometimes their little minds wander, they're playing. So we just want to make sure
Don't
that we
want
do.
safety too, Bob.
Yes,
I'm
I
just
know.
saying that,
I
I'm not
know.
gonna say that
Yeah.
that happened because of what we
Right.
did.
Well,
That
it's
happened,
tragic the way it
this
happened.
adult
It
had
should-
his cell phone that was important to be using while trains coming.
Go ahead, Raquel.
Well, what we're going to be sure to do is have a meeting, which has already been scheduled for this Thursday. We're going to be meeting with the FEC, the city attorney, community development, and code enforcement related to some violation issues and some other issues to see what the FEC is going to be doing on their property. However, we're responsible for the approach to the railway. So the plan that was, that you approved us to go to request bids for was to create an engineering plan. Now, to implement the plan, we would need direction from the CRA board if that's something you'd like to do next fiscal year. You know, when we have our budget discussions, that could be something that you can decide at that time.
When you all have your discussion, I see you, board member. When you all have your discussions, and I'm not sure if you know this or Mark has the answer to this, aren't we supposed to have quiet zones? I always hear trains. I don't understand what a quiet zone means, but they're never quiet. That's all I know. It's never quiet. And I know in certain cities, like, it's a hefty fine if they blow those horns. Well, we just heard the horn 10 minutes ago in here.
Yeah, Mark LaFerrier, Community Development. They have not implemented the quiet zones yet, and the way that Broward County is implementing the quiet zones is that they have strategically located these quad gates so that the quiet zones can be run throughout Broward County. But they haven't completed that work throughout the county yet, so it'll be enacted together. Now, I don't have a date for that yet, at least I don't think I do. I can look it back up and get back with the commission on
You
it.
would think they would do that before they send these trains in our neighborhood.
Well, that was their plan originally, and then they had some complications in getting it implemented and approved.
Okay.
So, as far
I
as
just
when
wanted to
it will
make
be
sure we didn't have
implemented.
a quiet zone because they're not respecting it. They're
No,
not
there
honoring
isn't one.
at all.
No, there
Okay.
isn't one now. What I'll do is I'll look back again. It's been a while since I got any information on this, but I'll forward the information to the commission tomorrow on the
Thank
date.
you. Board Member Savino? Can't hear you.
While you're doing the FEC, just as we discussed earlier, I think you should really put the pressure on them, if you can, on the landscaping all up and down, at least from Sheridan Street to Griffin Road, on all the overgrowth and the grass cutting and the debris that's on there. You know,
horrible.
we get fined or cited as a city, but we seem not to be able to do that to FEC. So I think somewhere along the line, they need to be responsible for cleaning that place up. There's a lot of overgrowth. And some of the replacements that and I'm not sure they were finished or not, they were supposed to replace in Southwest from Sterling Road to Sheridan Street, when they cut all those royal palms down, they were supposed to be putting more landscaping back in there, and I don't know if that's ever been completed.
On the east side, of the
east side,
tracks
yeah.
near Fourth?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a part of a little bit of a larger project that's
Yeah, but
FP&L's
it's been
involved
2 years
in.
now since they've cut them down. I think by now they would put the plant.
Yes, yes, they're
So
behind
this is something
schedule.
you can address.
Yeah,
They're behind schedule on that, yes.
We can discuss some of those issues at our meeting tomorrow and as we go forward to make sure that whatever plans we put in place are well coordinated with the FEC and that we get out of them what we need to get out of them.
Just one more thing on that too. I do know that we are finding a business that is on FEC property, and FEC is responsible for that. So I don't know why we can't do the same thing and you know, when we start finding them, maybe we can, that's when the deals start getting worked out, where we start doing the crossings where they pay for that stuff, when maybe we would clean up the area.
It was the train, sorry.
Yeah.
Vice
Thank
Chair?
Mark, it was the safety zones and the quiet zones that were going to be implemented with the bright line for the extended gate arms and the quiet zones going through more densely populated areas.
That's correct.
And it's coming as
Yeah.
the bright line expands their service.
That's correct.
Okay. With the MPO and the bright line. Okay.
Right.
Go ahead.
Okay, going down to our commercial property improvement grant program, we're going to have a new marketing campaign. We've never really marketed this grant opportunity the way that we market other events and programs that we have. Actually, one of DeAndre's marching orders will be to visit the businesses door by door and tell them about the services that we provide and let them know about this grant opportunity. A few meetings ago, we decided, you decided as a board, to have an eligibility period of October through December for when businesses could apply for the grant, because many of them just felt like, you know, it was just ongoing, it was a rolling grant opportunity, and therefore they get to it when they get to it. So we really want to promote this and make sure that we have businesses that are coming on board. We do have some that are interested, and you know, I think some of them haven't been able to really fully commit to the 30% match that we require of them. And so I really just want to market this differently so that we have more companies, more businesses that participate in this program. We do have Barbie Joe's and Bake Shack that have previously been awarded. They have not begun their construction. You do have 9 months to complete, so I'm really at the point where I need to communicate with them that they need to speed up their projects or risk losing the funding, because we could be using that for another property or business.
Don't stick to it.
Yeah, did we ever give money to Dairy Bell? What's that name?
Dairy Bell.
Did we ever give them money?
I believe that they were interested, but they never applied.
What are they doing? I think it's a wreck over there. Have you been there?
I know at
If the
one
holes
time.
get any deeper, we'll be in China.
I think by virtue of the fact that there's a vacant lot next door to them that is for sale, I think there are some hopes that they can be part of a redevelopment project, but nothing has been said on the record that they're going to be doing something with Dairy Bell. Okay, going on to the Arts and Seafood Celebration, we've searched for dates, and the best new date that we've come up with is March 30th through 31st, which puts us 2 months earlier than we did last year. Also, it will be in season, so all of our snowbirds will be in town at that time, and there are no current conflicts with any regional events of a similar nature. So we felt like the March date would be appropriate. We've also held back on a request for proposal for event production and management because there's potentially an alternative production and marketing opportunity. A national company, Entercom, has approached us to do production and marketing for the event. Entercom is the second largest owner of radio stations in the country, and they also do events. So locally, they own KISS 99, 101.5, Light FM, and Power 96. So what they do is not only produce events, but they self-market on their radio stations. So if we looked at them as a vendor to provide both production and marketing, they could potentially be a sole source, no bid contract to do event production for us. So what they've asked us to do is give them this week to go and do a tour of the site. They've already had some local managers look at it, but now their national heads are coming in to look at Frost Park to see what they could do there. They already do events at the casino. They do the Tortuga Festival under Greater Fort Lauderdale Convention and Visitors Bureau. They do a lot of major events, both locally and nationally, and they really just wanted one more week to see if they would want to do this event. And we think it's in our best interest to look at outsourcing more of the event and having less to do with the in-house production and management of it. But we still know that whatever we come up with any firm, we're going to ensure that there is that local sensibility, that we have the integrity of the event maintained, but we're looking at some additional like revenue opportunities so that we can kind of transition this event to another level.
I have a question. I know we haven't spoken about Dania After Dark, but if we're continuing to do this every second Saturday of the month, in March, will you be canceling Dania After Dark?
Well, actually, we talked about that too. Should we do Dania After Dark 11 months for the year or 12 months for the year? And what we found is that if we took away Dania After Dark during March, there would be like a 6-week gap, between one Dania After Dark and the next. We feel that we'll have a following that's strong enough by then to have Dania After Dark and the Arts and Seafood Celebration in the same month. Because of the fact that we're getting a lot of people from the regional area, we want to actually cross-promote Arts and Seafood.
Okay.
So at the Dania After Dark that comes right before Arts and Seafood, we're going to heavily promote Arts and Seafood and then get that much more people at Arts and Seafood who don't usually come year to year. That's our thinking. Of course, we're open to discussion on that.
Okay.
So Dania After Dark, I do want to touch on the economic development side of that. We've tripled our attendance from the first month to the second month. Many of the event goers have reported that they go to the restaurants or the bars either before or after the event. By bringing that many people downtown and letting them know that Dania Beach is a nice place to come at night and during the day, we see that we're getting an influx of people that want to spend money in the city, and that's really what the goal of this is to really have that economic development piece and to really market the city so that people know that they can come and invest here, live here, and really fall in line with some of the goals that we have with the rebranding initiative. Request for proposal for annual production will go out in August, and we will bring a recommendation for award on September 11th. The current event producer was only contracted for the first 4 months. If you recall, we looked at the first 4 months as a trial period to see if it would pick up and take off. And we think that we're at that point where we could go a full year of this. A lot of residents have been really thankful for being able to attend the event and really like it. And so we think that we can sustain the event throughout the year. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Board Member Grace, I'm sorry.
As you're talking about Dania After Dark, and the next thing on the agenda is the Arts and Community Grant with Gary Moore. Are these standing separate because they're on the same dates, almost the same times, and do we need to cancel one, or is it feasible for us to keep both?
That was done very intentionally. If you've seen Art in the Hall that we've asked the Creative Arts Council to participate in, how they've activated the City Hall atrium, because we're getting so many people here for Dania After Dark already, we thought that it would be a good fit to do the kickoff for the Art of Community Grant because so many people are already going to be here. And for some people, they may not want to come out to talk about the history of Dania Beach or the art, but if they know they could do that and then go get a drink or then go, get something at the food truck, then we think that they might be more inclined to come out and participate. But I'm open to hearing suggestions.
Yeah.
Board Member Brandon Marty.
Yeah, Raquel, I want you to do a comparison for me. Now, you have the Art and Seafood Festival, which loses money, costs us money to run that. Now we've got this Dania After Dark, which is wonderful and successful. What do you feel is the big draw that makes this this event more successful than the Art and Seafood Festival? What is the big draw?
Okay, I will say this, that for the first installments of Dania After Dark, we did not set it up to be a revenue-driven event. Whereas with Arts and Seafood, actually, if we didn't have the rain this year, we would have cut our operating costs significantly and recouped 65% of our expenses.
That's
So our-
not what I'm asking you, though. What makes this a success where in all the years, the art festival has been doing nothing but costing us money, but you realized that when you came on board as mayor?
This costs us money too.
Same as the art festival?
No, but.
So the Arts and Seafood Celebration costs us for that weekend. Dania After Dark costs us every month. So we currently expend about $5,900 for each installment of Dania After Dark. So to get all the permitting done, to get BSO out there, to get fire out there, to get the mobile stage, it's a lot that goes into it. Well, Arts and Seafood, you know, it's like a one-time mobilization of all those things and all those people. Arts and Seafood, by far, has attracted more people to the city than Dania After Dark probably will, because we know that we've had 20,000 people over a weekend. Now, Arts and Dania After Dark, we're looking at, you know, 1,000 to 3,000 people, and really, if we continue,
Locals, though, right?
there are more locals. That's true. Arts and Seafood, we do happen to get people from out of town a lot more. We have them wanting to book into the hotels, and we have that regional and statewide appeal for, for a seafood festival. That's a very popular thing, and some people come from out of town just for that. I would hate to compare the two right now because they're kind of two different elements. Arts and Seafood is a daytime event. It's a little bit more family oriented because of the fact that it happens in the day. Dania After Dark is kind of that nighttime feel, and because of the fact that the frequency is that much higher, I think, and because it's new, of course people are more excited about it. I'd love to kind of watch it grow and evolve over a period before we kind of make that assessment.
Do we get any revenue from the alcohol? Because I'm understanding there is a lot of alcohol sold
So
at Dania After Dark.
by state law, we are not allowed to collect any revenue
That's
from
right.
alcohol sales, which was one of the things that impacted our revenue from Arts and Seafood this year. However, when we do go out looking for a contract for annual production, we're going to be ensuring that there's some revenue generating opportunities. So maybe 60 to 70 feet of space for sponsors to come in outside of what the event producer may want to do. So with Arts and Seafood, we do a lot of the legwork. With Dania After Dark, we have contracted someone to do a turnkey event. So from soup to nuts, we have them do X, Y, and Z with our supervision and coordination, but it's a lot less involved than Arts and Seafood. In the Arts and Seafood, our staff is very much involved with every single element of the event, which has some costs that, you know, we haven't really talked about recently. But overall, I'd like to give it some time. You know, I don't know if people just love it, and then maybe in 3 months, who knows if, you know, they're really, really gonna love it or not. So I wanna really just give it a chance to grow and see what could happen there.
Sounds like
Temporary use and special event permit. To do a recurring event more than 4 times per year, we talked about this, we would need to do a text amendment, so that's gonna be coming to you August 28th through the Community Development Department. In the hall, we mentioned that already. The Art of Community Grant Kickoff, August 11th. And then I would like to do our budget presentation August 28th at our next meeting. However, prior to our next meeting, please feel free to reach out, and I'll be reaching out to you to see what are those priorities that you are very interested in for the next budget. I think we've been working together for a while now, about 8 months now, and I pretty much have a grasp on what I think are your priorities, but I just want to make sure that I'm on the right track so that when our budget is presented, that we can pass our budget in September. Last thing I just wanted to mention, the patch on third Saturday, we had Splish Splash last weekend. On the 21st, we had 75 people attend, which is a pretty big number. Many of them were children who came to go in the kiddie pool, and their parents went shopping at the patch, so that was a good success for the patch. Coming up next month,